Um, Last Friday we sold that.
Well, you know, we sold this nice bike here for lots of money, but now the guy who bought it, who I don't think is in the United States, I don't think English is his first language, seems to bring a trailer's having a lot of problems with me. See him.
I don't know if we should air that as much.
If you're going to buy something, you should
That's
be ready
true.
to sell it.
And I'm sure Bring a Trailer has a protocol.
Well, Bring a Trailer, I'm sure, has his credit card number and everything else. And they sent me a note today. Has anything happened? And I said, no, I'm waiting for you to tell me. I think he's, you know, has buyer's remorse. And they sent me back the same thing.
If we're going to talk about it, we should mention the only reason he wants to drop out is because when Bring a Trailer puts something on their website and they've had more than one, their URL
numbers it afterwards,
sequential,
2, 3, 4.
so it's 1, 2,
He thought
3,
he was
4,
a different
5.
bike.
This was the second 1951 R67.
Yeah, but
So it had a dash 2,
right.
meaning they had listed
all the guy had to
4.
do if he'd have done his due diligence during the auction was see the number of the case was on there, and he just could have gone like everybody else did to the chart online and could have seen the production numbers and seen it was the right bike.
It was nothing we misrepresented.
No, and that's what you get when you don't do your due diligence.
Well, it seems to me like that's just kind of a way of getting out of it. Like,
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I don't know how that works.
The URL and it doesn't read the listing.
Hopefully we'll get it resolved soon. Otherwise, I guess we'll put it back up for auction.
But we did have a lot of.
I got a lot of positive reactions to the comments to it, and a lot of people looked at it, and it sold for a lot of money.
Yeah. And a lot of high bidders. It wasn't just like one guy.
No, the last two guys, bid from $27,500 up to $33,000. They were just bidding away, and I was sitting, eating dinner, watching TV, and just couldn't. Just go, no, it's 27.5.
Yeah.
28.5. Just kept on going.
I actually forgot to hit record on my microphone, so we got to do it all over again.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have to do any of that.
I was in a brewery texting you.
While this thing was being auctioned.
Wow, yeah. And then me and Garrett were texting, and I don't know if Garrett was texting you.
He didn't text me.
Okay,
No.
but we were all watching it.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, the bike was at like 17.5 an hour before that, and the next thing you know, as it gets to where it's no more time left,
yeah,
they're bidding in $500 increments, and I just kept watching and going 17.5, 20, 21, 21.5, 22, over 30, just kept on going. So
they know what they're doing because it's fun.
Well, yeah, especially with the setup where in the last 2 minutes, if you bid, goes back to 2 minutes again.
So we were watching. Me and my girlfriend were watching on our phone, but she doesn't care about motorcycles in the slightest. But she was like, "This is exciting. I like watching this. This is fun." Yeah.
Well, that's along those same lines. We have another bike up online that's on auction, and this guy writes me this note and says, "Hey, what's your reserve? Me and a bunch of people are tired of guessing at this." I go, "Come on, man, it's an auction. What are you talking about? If you don't like it, make me an offer. It's an auction. That's what people like to do,
I think it's funny
that
laugh
when I say
auction's a common way of selling things, so to make it like, why are you playing games?
It has been for millenniums. So
it
was just another one of those funny things.
Yeah, it is funny.
There's so many things you see when you're auctioning or when you're doing stuff that people just react to. That you just shake your head and go, "What kind of lunatic is this?"
Yeah.
So.
It was especially exciting for me because I got kind of trashed in the comments a little bit.
Right. So I was saying earlier, you're finding some interesting things on the bike you're working on.
Oh yeah.
2 different size calipers, and you came up with a good fix for his dual disc front end. I think we can make it work.
So the conventional wisdom is that a 1974 slider is not compatible with any other.
Yeah, different axle size, 14 millimeter
versus
17 millimeter.
So the customer's bike we're working on, he supplied a slider, that was from, I think it's stamped 70.
Well, 75 and later, they're
Yeah,
all the same.
yeah. So basically, what we're doing is you have every set of sliders. You have one with a
Well,
big
that's
hole,
got a big hole, which is a 19, and the other
one
one's
with
a
a
17.
small hole.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're flipping the axle so that we're using
The big one, which is the 19 on one side, and the small one with the
What-
17 on the other, and it's working perfectly.
Yeah.
Which was your idea, which was a great idea.
what used to be the small 14 or the large 14 is now the small 17.
Yeah, well,
think
because it
that's
was
a
the
good
size that had the fat part of the axle.
And
So
it's
yeah,
worked
so I
perfect.
think we put it up today, and I think with a little bit of machining, we can make that work. I think that's
Yeah.
great. That means we can do this easily with stock stuff we got upstairs. Because to try to buy one of those sliders is $400 if you can
Yeah.
find one. $375 is a good price. So
Yeah.
that was good. And you know, we got this thing from the guy in a million pieces, and this fella, like the one Chuck did recently, the R80, where the guy bought the tank that looked the same and turned out to be only looks the same for the top. It doesn't fit underneath, and you know, he didn't know that. And this guy
Yeah.
bought another caliper. He didn't know they were two different sizes. So
Well, that's hard because the tanks are exactly the same.
from the
until-
top, you're
until
exactly
you
right.
flip it.
Underneath, they're totally different. So
Yeah.
you know, we ended up moving a bunch of relays and making it all work for him. He's thrilled. The bike was gorgeous. It runs perfectly. It's a really nice bike. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
he's bringing us another bike to work on. He just bought
Ah, what is it?
R100 RT, and he bought an RS, and he's fiddling with them.
Do they still have the fairings on there?
They do.
Okay.
That's why I bought him.
Does
He lives in
does
Tennessee,
need
where
help
he
taking
probably
them
needs
off?
it. No, somebody else is. Well, he did talk to me about taking one off, and I explained it all to him. He said, "Well, I'll let you do that." And,
Yeah.
you know, explained it, taking rewiring and this, that, and the other new parts. So, you know, it's not terribly difficult. It's just time consuming.
You got to change the.
Well, you have to have a mount, so you need two rabbit ears because you're taking the mount off that's down.
That's
on
probably
side.
the hardest part.
Well,
is
and then you got
dropping
to
the forks and-
then you got to reroute the wires because they come out through the rabbit ears and go out to the stalks. You have to put stalks on because the old directionals are
Yeah.
in the fairing. So you got to do all that stuff, and then you know, put it all together, and then you got to, you know, there's other stuff to change in there. But
You know, every time I've done that, it was on a budget scrambler where I was trying to find nice used parts in the shop. So it might be easier when you just have everything you need. But I was.
that's
trying
one of
to
the
find,
reasons
like,
things are a lot easier for us is because we have
Yeah.
a good stash of used stuff.
I was trying to find like used stocks and used rubbers and make everything work and aligned, and it was probably the hardest part.
I hear you.
We just I just shot a roll of film in the shop. Really excited.
Yeah, I
about
saw you
that.
had the little.
Yeah, I got a
Stuff set
film
up.
camera for Christmas, and
Right. This is part of your article that you're writing.
yeah, well, film is still the best. It's still great for printing because it's a huge file, so we'll see. I might even do. You think people, if they come out good, people would buy prints of them?
Only one way to find
I
out.
was thinking about maybe throwing that in there. That because you can blow up a 35 millimeter photo, pretty big.
Well, you know, yes, you can grow up you blow up a 35 without it getting too badly reticulated. But those people who shoot 5x7 and 8x10, it's just a contact print for them, and that's why they were able to do a lot of what they did. All that zone stuff, black is black and white is white.
Try finding that now.
You could probably still find a speed graphic somewhere.
What I'm saying is,
you know.
since the pandemic happened, everything non-essential went, and film production, film's really, really expensive now.
We used to buy film in 100-foot lengths and bulk load our little cassettes to whatever we want. 10, 15, 20. You could do up to 36. Depending on what we're shooting and how much we were going to bracket and so on and so forth, we
Yeah.
made it bigger or smaller. Well, all the fun of shooting then was in the dark room. I had a dark room at my house, and that was the best. That was just so much fun to get in there,
Yeah.
And then, you burn stuff in, you crop stuff out, and I always said, oh man, one of these days I'll get really good like Ansel Adams or something. I won't have to do this. And then I went to museum in the High Museum in Atlanta, and his niece or something who inherited a lot of his images had a show of his up there, and they show one of his famous moon over Taos, the moon over the church with the cross on the top, and they showed about 6 or 7 prints. They start with the first print, which is blotchy and doesn't come out, and then they show how he burns stuff in till he gets it in, and you go, well, goddamn, he does the same shit I was doing. And I thought, oh, these guys, how do they shoot it once and get it right? And here was 6 or 7 of his images, all different exposures with stuff cropped out and papers over the end, and kind of blew the.
It's funny because people always think like digital photographers, like, oh, it's so easy to edit and post, but people have always been editing and posting.
Well, if it doesn't help you in the image, it hurts you when you're printing, and so you try to see all that while you're doing it, but half the time you don't see the telephone line running across the middle of it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times you don't really know even what it is that attracts you to the image. You just go out and shoot a bunch of stuff, and then when you go back in the darkroom and filter through it, fill the film and cut it up into pieces and spend some time looking at it.